Welcome to another episode, everyone. Little Monster, the brother of Monster Kody, went on a 24-hour killing spree. It is alleged that he unalived 5 people within 24 hours of Monster Kody, his big brother being shot by the Rolling 60's. In fact, Lil Monster eventually admitted to some of these deaths and he went to jail. He got out of jail and his life took a dramatic turn. This is Warren Cali. Now, a lot of people talk about Monster Kody, and rightfully so. But as we can see here, his brother, Lil Monster, is an indication that sometimes the monstrosity runs in the family.
Reality, gang activity. So I want him to be a part of reality, but I didn't want him to lose that specialness that made him himself, which was just my little brother. But to everybody else, he was a little monster, but he was always my little brother, you know?
Welcome back to another episode of Warren Cali. Kershawn Scott was born in Los Angeles in 1965. He was the 5th of 6 kids. His dad Ernest and his mom Birdie originally were from Texas, but they later settled in Los Angeles. Initially, the family was thriving living in a nicer area of LA, but that family unity wouldn't last long. Kershaw's older brother Kody, who was 2 years older, existed and drove a wedge in his parents' relationship. Kody was a product of an affair their mother had, which caused a rift in the union. Ernest physically and emotionally abused Kody, which included beating him and showing deliberate favoritism towards his biological children over Kody, which included taking other kids out to dinners, movies, and trips to his hometown of Houston, and initially leaving Kody behind most of the time. In 1970, Ernest and Birdie divorced, and for the next 5 years, Ernest would visit the family only on weekends. In 1972, Birdie moved her family into a house on West 69th Street and Dinker Avenue, which later became a very rough and gang-infested area on the west side of South Central Los Angeles. Kershaw had a normal upbringing at first. That's until the family moved on to 69th Street. His father faded from the scene around this time point. That also began to start the Crips and Bloods, which began forming in Los Angeles. The surrounding streets where the Scott family lived became dangerous. Due to Birdie's absences working several jobs to support her large family, and the neglect that the family received from Ernest, Kody would often hang out on the streets of his new neighborhood. Around this time, he began hanging out with his neighbor, also known as Stanley Tookie Williams, who many called the leader of the West Side Crips. At just 12 in 1975, Kody would officially join the local Crip gang in his area, which would be later known as the A-Tray Gangsta Crips. At just 12, he was shooting enemies and earning a reputation, and by 13, he earned the name Monster. After a vicious beating he gave a man as he tried to rob him. As the years grew, so did Kody's reputation. Even though he wasn't grown, he had a reputation that many grown men never achieved. The rest of the Scott siblings didn't participate in the street life. Though Monster's 2 older brothers lived civilian lives and worked jobs, the youngest brother being Kershaw looked up to Kody. He admired who his big brother was. Monster had respect and fear among many, and Kershaw wanted to be just like him. So by the time of 1977, at the age of 12, Kershaw would also join the A-Tray Gangsta Crips, and he would take the name Little Monster, which was in honor of his older brother. After his transition into the gang life, Kershaw's childhood was essentially over. He stopped caring about school and any of his past interests. He was now devoted into being a gang member, and the streets only got deadlier by the year as he and his brother Monster continued on a path of destruction. He was no longer Kershaw, he was now Little Monster. He began going to jail for robberies and Grand Theft Auto only at the age of 13, and he spent 6 months in jail, being the longest bid at the time. The streets of Los Angeles became more fierce. Crips were at war with Bloods, but by the end of the 70s, Crip on Crip wars became worse. In 1979, the Rolling 60's were once allies of the A-Tray Gangsta Crips, but they became mortal enemies after the death of a Rolling 60 member, which was blamed on the A-Trays. And this new war caused massive death in South Central, and it would lead to several near-death calls for the Scott brothers. On December 31st of 1980, 17-year-old Monster was ambushed and shot 6 times by 3 adult members of the Rolling 60's after being set up by a group of girls who were dating one of his friends from his set. Monster survived the shooting, but he was hospitalized for several weeks.
One guy got a beard, a mustache, one guy got a beard, and one guy's clean shaven. But they're not dressed like gang members, and I don't see no bulges where they might be armed. So the guy walks up to me and he says, "Aren't you Monster Kody?" So I said, "Yeah, I'm Monster Kody. I'm from A-Tray Gangsta. What's up?" And the guy reaches in his coat. He has a pea coat, but he can't get through the gun apparently because it's the button. And when he reaches in his coat, Lil Hunchy runs and leaves me. When I look towards Lil Hunchy to the left and look back, the guy shoots me in the stomach. Shoots me in the stomach, point blank range, no closer than you and I are, and blows me against the wall. And the impact of the bullet, it doesn't really hurt me, but it surprises me. And the force of it blows me against the wall. And just out of survival, out of the instinct, I rush towards him, try to grab the gun, and he shoots me in the left hand. And my hand hits the wall like it's blown off, where I don't look at my hand. So now I know it's time to go. I turn around and try to run, he shoots me in the back. The bullet that hits me in the back knocks me down on my face, and I'm dazed. So now I'm getting up on my knees, and the guy kicks me in the stomach, kicks me over. So I have no alternative but to put my leg up, just try to shield a shot. And he shoots me 3 times in the left leg, and then they run off. Well, Lil Hunchy, he ran the entire block, and he comes back, and he asks me, what happened? Well, damn fool, I'm shot.
Oh man, what happened? You ain't went that far if you come running back up. So you were close enough to hear the gunshots go off. You run back up, you don't see any blood? Or you certainly see him on the ground talking about what happened. Like Monster said, fool, I'm shot. Yeah, so this is when these individuals pushed up on Monster Kody. This is 1980. They started beefing with the Rolling 60s, the A-Tray Gangsters, in 1979. So now this is 1980. Monster Kody is one of the main individuals involved in this beef. They looking to take him out. They gun him down, as we can hear. Take 6 shots at him and drop him. But now his brother is disturbed by this incident, and he wants to build his name being Little Monster. So he decides that he's going to take it upon himself to avenge the attempted killing of his big brother.
Little Monster, who was 15, heard about the shooting from friends. He wanted to get revenge that same night, but older members of the A-Trays told him not to because police and rivals would expect it. He knew he had to get guns for his get back for his brother, which he told his father, and his father supplied him with guns, which included shotguns and handguns. Little Monster sought vengeance for his older brother's shooting on New Year's Day of 1981. Him and several teenage members of the A-Trays committed several shootings. The first shooting, he shot 2 teenagers who were standing in front of a yard of a house party that was being thrown in the Rolling 60's neighborhood. And later that evening, he shot another teenager to death in a drive-by as a young man was walking down the street.
Several other drive-bys at night on 3 different neighborhoods, all enemies to my own neighborhood, because I was not satisfied with just getting that one neighborhood. I wanted to let all the neighborhoods know, affiliated with that one, that retaliation is swift.
I had a double-barrel 12-gauge shotgun. Everybody else had multiple shots. I had the 2. So it was clear that night that every time we pulled up on an enemy, I'd get the first shot. And the homie pulled up so close and so quietly that when I hung out the window with the shotgun and said, hey, when he turned around, the barrel was damn near touching him. I locked eyes with him. The last thing that I thought of is I'm gonna blow this guy's head off.
Damn. I'm scared. Shit. I'm convinced. Oh, man. Damn. Got the music going. The last thing I thought, I'm going to blow this guy's head off. Man, my God. So as we can see, Little Monster is just as dangerous, I'm sure, it looks like, as his big brother, Big Monster. He's out seeking revenge. I can understand the feeling. I'm sure his brother gets shot. Yeah. Like that 6 times, that means, someone's trying to kill him. He survived, but someone did not want him to survive. They were trying to kill him. If he had not put his leg up and blocked those shots, those might have been in his head. Oh, Monster. That's probably what his little brother is thinking. But bear in mind, Little Monster is 15 years old at this time. He's 15. And hell, his big Monster Kody is 17 when he got shot up. 1980. I believe that's how it goes. Yeah, but he's 15 when he's out here on this mission with this shotgun. So let's see. He done creeped up. How do you creep up? How these dudes out here slipping like this? They don't even hear the car at all. Not no quiet ass Bentley or nothing. You hear some old bucket. They don't hear the car. They out there, out there tripping, not paying attention. He done crept up on them. And he say he's so close that, the thing is touching him. And the only thing he can think is that he's about to get rid of his head. Let's see what this dude ended up doing, man. Oh.
And I pulled both triggers.
Damn.
I had felt so confident about that kill. I didn't even bother to reload. We knocked down the enemy that night. January 1st, 1981. That's how I opened up the new year. At that moment, I became more of a killer. More of a monster.
That night, Kershawn and his friends gunned down 5 rival gang members. He was 15 years old.
I feel proud. I felt proud that he was able to rise above the emotionalism of his brother being shot and take care of business.
It would be easy to catch Little Monster and his crew. They didn't get rid of the stolen van they used in the shooting, and also an A-Tray Gangster Crip hangout was raided, which was full of guns. And to make matters worse, police found a letter he wrote admitting to the shooting, which he was sending off to a friend in jail. Initially with his rep, Monster was arrested, but with the proven facts that he couldn't have did the shooting with his injuries, Little Monster was later arrested, and he was sentenced to 5 years in youth authority for the murder as a juvenile. Little Monster was released by the time he was 21. When he got out, it was in the middle of the crack era. He went to jail before it existed. Now he entered the streets and it was a new ball game. The streets were flooded with new gangs, more robberies, drug dealers, and addicts on every corner, and even guns advanced. He started to work a normal job trying to stay on the right path, but after his release, that would only last so long. He seen the money Croc was making from his friends. After giving it a try, he made a few $1,000s in one day. That minimum wage job he had, he never went back to. During this time period, Monster Kody was in prison for various crimes he committed throughout the 80s, which he was released in the late 80s. In 1989, Little Monster had his first child, but that didn't stop him from being in the streets. As the 90s began, he became a major face in the media for his gang, along with his big brother Monster. In 1992, the LA riots occurred, which was 5 days of chaos. In 91, 2 major events occurred that triggered the black community. The death of Latasha Harlan at the hands of a liquor store owner, and Rodney King's beating at the hands of the police. None of the individuals involved in both of those cases were charged, with them both being acquitted in 1992. This led to the LA riots. A total of 63 people died during the riots, including 9 shot by the police and 1 by the National Guard. Of those killed during the riots, 2 were Asian, 28 were black, 19 were Latino, and 14 were white. No police died during the riots. As many as 2,000 people were injured, and estimated losses varied from 800 million to 1 billion. Over 3,000 fires were set, and over 1,000 buildings were burned. The A-Tray Gangsters were at the center of the riots, and 71st.
Yeah, we all remember that. We all remember the LA riots. That's where it really kicked off at. It kicked off over there, basically in A-Tray Gangster Hood. A few of those individuals ended up being incarcerated, getting locked up for that. And it went on for some time. It was a little damage, but wasn't much, nothing that the government can cover. And as we can see, still, a lot of black individuals lost their lives. No police officers lost their lives during that, so they can recover some burned down property. We cannot recover our lives, so we did not really win in that situation, but we were, exercising our right to protest the brutal beating of Rodney King, someone who ended up saying, "Can't we all just get along? Don't tell us that, tell them that, Rodney."
Normandy became the center of several crazy incidents. The A-Trays had incidents with the police, and they eventually made the police retreat. This led to them terrorizing people through the intersection of Florence and Normandy, and it led to severe beatings of numerous individuals. Little Monster was at the scene of the incidents, and he became a person everyone wanted to interview, which he did several interviews like on Larry King, Nightline, and several others.
Stopped, or would it just been something else that would have triggered it?
I think had they been found guilty, not one, but all four on all counts.
Because all four of them was guilty.
Exactly. Had they been found guilty, none of this would have happened.
You wouldn't even be standing here, Ted.
None of this would have happened.
Somewhere else.
That's true. Tonight.
Yeah.
Right.
But maybe I'd be here next week or the week
Or
after
next year, maybe.
It's no doubt because the situation in LA has been volatile for
But see, that would have been the uplift of the people. Finally, they caught the guys with their hand in the cookie jar.
That's right.
So we figured they're going to prosecute them. They got them.
And we can feel that justice is working for us in our community, which it hasn't.
That's
it
right.
never has.
In the wake of the riots, he was already in the media, but he also became known for being in the gang truce, which further elevated his profile as a leader and a community spokesman.
If we can put the same amount of pride into the community and instill it in the youngsters, then we do something positive and constructive for the community as opposed to just tearing stuff up. That's our role. That's our mission. I've done so much wrong in my community that helping somebody, to me, is like giving something back.
In 1992, Tupac's manager saw him on Nightline.
Yeah, and that's just been it. There's been a lot of individuals like that in the community that have been trying to give back to the community for some time. You know, reach back and get individuals out of these situations, knowing where this life has led. And many individuals have changed individuals' lives, and we see the work that Lil Monster ended up doing as well. Yes, Monster Kody, for that matter, he changed his name to Sanjika Shakur, and he was doing work in the community as well, and trying to leave that sort of life behind and become a revolutionary, if you will, more militant and conscious.
And he invited him to Atlanta to work with the Malcolm X Center, which led to a stint on Tupac's payroll being head of security when the rapper went on tour. While his brother was in prison, Monster Kody put out the best-selling book of '93, being called Monster, the autobiography of an LA gang member. This also led to several appearances on TV and a documentary based on their lives in '93.
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm all right. How about yourself?
All right.
A lot of people ask us, why are we so close? We're brothers by chance and not by choice. And that doesn't necessarily mean that I have to love him. But we're best friends because we want to be, and that's our choice.
As the 90s resumed, both brothers remained in the media. If Monster Kody wasn't in jail, he was around. So was Little Monster. But by the end of the 90s, he tried to get away from the LA life and move with his wife and several kids. But that was a struggle in his own. Him and his wife had several issues that led to run-ins with the law in the 2000s. In July 2002, the couple separated, and his wife obtained a restraining order. He contemplated suicide. He was treated for severe depression and PTSD, which was related to the breakup and also his childhood. And at the same time, his mom was going through kidney failure. In August of 2002, Little Monster went to the couple's home, where he found his wife with an ex-boyfriend and another man. Accounts of that evening vary, but it set off a negative chain of events. According to the Ridgecrest police chief, who read from a report filed by his wife that morning, Little Monster allegedly climbed through the window carrying a gun and grabbed the phone from her hand as she tried to call for help. He demanded that the two men in the house get on the ground, and as she ran, police arrived. Little Monster left, and they later took statements from the two men that matched his wife's statement. A few days later, Little Monster was arrested, but his wife said she lied. This put him on the Ridgecrest police radar, and they learned who he was. This led to several run-ins, which he was always being harassed. It got so bad that they later charged him and his wife with welfare fraud, which they both escaped with a few months in jail, but that was later dropped. He continued being in the media, like on several stories in LA Weekly, documentaries like Crips and Bloods Made in America, as well as Outlaw Empires, which he discussed gang history and organized street culture, and also shows like Gangland. Later in life, Little Monster transitioned into film and television production, working mostly behind the scenes in roles as production assistant. His credits include The Nun, Big Little Lies, Gang Related, The Last Man on Earth, Mayans MC, and Street Level. In 2021, Monster Kody died, leaving a legacy as one of the most respected and recognizable Crips in history. In recent years, Little Monster has talked about doing a book, which has been talked about for several years. He has been rarely seen playing a background role and living behind the scenes in life. He is now 61, and his story is one of a lot of controversy and pain, which he endured throughout his life. He's lucky to have made it out.
Shout out to Warren Cali. Good job per normal. Shout out to Lil Monster. As we can see, he is still alive. Fortunately, his story is one of a lot of heartache and pain as is a lot of our stories. But he is playing in the background, right? We don't hear a lot about him. I don't hear a lot about him at all. Sometimes you wouldn't even know that Monster Kody has a brother, a younger brother, who went to the penitentiary for avenging his shooting, who's also a reputable individual and a strong individual, but who, as we can see, began to change his life and give back to the community, give back to the youth, and then ended up taking a step back, trying to leave the lifestyle behind totally and go do the family thing. That didn't necessarily work out, but he was giving back to the community, and he's still behind the scenes. He's not out here trying to be some tough guy at his age. He's been through a lot in his life. He's lost his brother. I'm sure he's somewhere just trying to live out the rest of his life in some sort of peace. And there you have it. Let me know what you think in the comments, man. I mean, he did go on a mission, as he admitted to himself, that within 24 hours or whatever, that he said, that's how he brought in the new year in 1981, sticking the whole gauge up to someone's head, basically, he said, and that he pulled the trigger twice and something. And we see then that he was speaking about it almost as, not I won't say proud of it, but he was not remorseful. He didn't have any compunction, but nevertheless, he had since changed his ways. That's when he was still probably upset recalling the whole situation. Because at the end of the day, we're just recalling and talking about unaliving another black man in a very brutal way. And that's nothing to celebrate or glorify. Your brother didn't die. I understand they were trying to kill him, but he didn't die. And I'm sure the person whose face you blew off had nothing to do with it. So it's just an innocent man or child that was out there hanging out who lost his life. Same old story in the freaking ghetto. That's why it's time he needs to be given back. But he said that. And so do I. And so do all of us who help contribute to the nonsense that's going on in the freaking community now. That's it, man. Period. Let me know what you think in the comments. Stay safe and stay free. Whoa.